This is serious business. Canada is tapping into its reserve for, well, you're saying reserve in what exactly? You said this is serious business. And I'll have you know, maple syrup is serious business, especially if you're a Canadian. Can you imagine this entire winter with COVID-19, Delta, and now Omicron, that you have to go an entire winter in Canada without maple syrup? You think that battles wouldn't occur over such a thing as maple syrup? But if a Canadian, as polite as they are, if a Canadian doesn't have access to maple syrup, you will see all of the pleasantries and the politeness slip away in an instant. We must have our maple syrup. And the Canadian government realizes this because the Quebec maple syrup producers, which is like the OPEC for oil, only for maple syrup in Canada, they've tapped 50 million reserves of maple syrup. That's half of the stockpile. Now, you're saying maple syrup. People can live without maple syrup. Maybe in Canada they can. But in the United States, it's no biggie. Well, if you're thinking that, you're actually so incorrect. 73% of the maple syrup supply gets sold to the United States by Canadians. So Americans are more addicted to maple syrup than maybe even perhaps the Canadians. Now, we tend to like the Canadians. But if the Canadians don't have their maple syrup, and Americans like maple syrup just as much as the Canadians, the clause will come out about the maple syrup between the Canadians and Americans. I'm not saying you will see anything too crazy, but you might start to see some crazy. So it's a good thing that they're tapping into the reserves, is what I'm saying. Because the alternatives would be bleak. For me, especially. Then I would have to, the only place that I could get maple syrup for my crepes, my waffles, my pancakes, and even in certain cases, bagels. If you run out of honey, you will put maple syrup on a bagel. Oh, don't look at me like I'm crazy. Anyway, it's a good thing they did this, because I don't want to deal with the alternatives. If I can't get maple syrup in the stores, you all know what the alternatives would be. There's Denny's, which, you know, when they started having those all-you-can-eat 99-cent pancakes, you know Denny's was starting to go downhill. It's only gotten worse. You got IHOP. Can't decide whether it wants to be IHOP or IHOP. It's IHOP. Everybody knows it's the International House of Pancakes. The International House of Burgers. Who thought that that was smart? I'm glad they stuck with IHOP. But then in some places they did the IHOP. Can you imagine people saying, I'm going to IHOP? I know they stay open 24 hours, but Denny's, and I hope I would probably choose Denny's, and that would be a horrible choice too. And then my third alternative, the Waffle House. Now, I can't go into the Waffle House. I'm banned in the Waffle House. You're like, why are you banned? Social media. It's a long story. But I'm banned in the Waffle House. They don't want to see me in. I really don't want to sneak in there to get maple syrup. So if they don't have the reserves, I'll have to make a choice between sneaking into IHOP or IHOP. They can't determine Denny's or Waffle House. And I want to do none of those things. I'm not about that life. So thank you in advance, Canada. We would have had to send more representatives to your country to try to negotiate something with you. You know, it's more important to get the maple syrup than right now a whole host of other things. I know we are addicted to computers and chips and things like that. But if Americans don't get their maple syrup, and Canadians don't either, you won't see any computers. You'll see fists. So thank you, Canada. Thank you for re-upping our supply. We need the maple syrup. We love maple syrup. Around here, that's all we eat. I know some of you are like, oh, maple syrup. It's no biggie. It's a big deal for us. Leave us to have our enjoyment and joys in life. You have other things to your enjoyments in life. You know, like barbecue if you're down south. Maple syrup is a thing. It's a big thing.